Well, Chris asked us to look at SAPPI. I think he's looking and buying SAPPI. And if I look at this chart, let's have a look at the weekly chart. I mean, SAPPI was under immense pressure for quite a while. I mean, can you believe it? This was one of those companies that you just say that you can just buy it and keep it. But look what happened here. There's a top, there's another top, there's a double top. And that triggered a beautiful triple top sell-off to the downside. And let's just see here. Chris, I think it's maybe time to stand closer to the stock. If I just take the projection here, let's just project it. It almost went right to the bottom. So I think maybe it's time to nibble on SAPPI here, because it turned around nicely. But I think he's looking for a buying level here. So let's rather go to a candlestick chart. And as you know, what I always do is, if I want to just have a general trend on the chart, I will go to a weekly line chart. But it's different. If you go to a chart where you actually want to see if you can pinpoint a proper buying level, then you will see I immediately go to the daily chart, and especially the candlestick chart, because we all know that candlesticks reflects the emotion of the informed investor. So what do we see here? First of all, the low of this chart was at 52.95. That's one that was on a Friday, let's say 2 weeks ago. But look what happened. Since then, it rallied up and it came back. But what I like is I see this higher low. Let's have a look there. There's the low. There's another low, and it goes a little bit higher. That's a beautiful higher low. And if I'm looking at the chart, it looks like, Chris, if you look at this chart, it's maybe time to stand a little bit closer. The only thing that worries me is this strong bullish candle. I mean, from 55 Rand to 59 Rand in one day is quite a move. So I'll be a little bit nervous just to rush in. I would rather wait and see if I can get a little bit of a pullback before I get into. But this is a strong bullish candle. Well, we all know this is a Marubozu, and the Marubozu candle usually tells you that there's some strong buyers behind it. But the bottom line is, if you do want to buy it and not wait for a little bit of a pullback or a consolidation, you can buy about 59.50, but make use of the stop loss. I'm going to give the stop loss of 52.95. I'm going to give this big stop loss, and the reason why I'm saying that, I'm still a bit nervous on what we've seen in the Rand. The Rand weakened suddenly over the last 2 weeks. It looks like it's heading again to about 15 Rand. But if there's a little bit of a pullback, we can maybe see a little bit of a pullback here. So if you do chase the momentum above this line, then rather use this candle as your stop loss, because then you know you play a little bit safe. And of course, what I always do, and I do it for myself, and I always tell people to do that, if you do want to buy the stock and the stop loss is quite big, then rather just sit on your hands and buy a little bit. Don't go and buy full out, and rather buy, let's say for instance you want 1,000 SAPPIs, go in and buy 200, and then you can see, then the stop loss won't even bother you. Now let's go to some other charts. Leon asked for Anglo American. He said, listen, what's happening there? This stock was almost out on its feet many years ago. Nobody wanted to touch the stock. And I mean, Anglo America had a beautiful rally. Let's have a look here. I mean, it's still going all the way. And look what happened. Can you believe it? In 2016, the stock was almost, well, you can almost say nobody wanted to touch the stock. But what happened? Look at this beautiful rally to the top. But I want to see where's the 40-week moving average, because he's got a little bit, Leon, just to have a little bit of a longer term view on the stock. He says to me, Frans, what's happening there? I want to maybe hold it on for a little bit longer, because I believe that the stock offers some more value. Let's have a look here. And here it is quite simple. If you look at the stock, every time that it gets to this 40-week moving average, it gives us a brief move just below that, and then it rallies off. So for me, it's quite simple. If you look at that, Leon, while you're above this 40-week moving average, in actual fact, every time that it gets close to this 40-week moving average, you can maybe buy the stock. Because look what, see, that's the general trend to the upside. It is still very positive. And if I use just a trend line here, just to see, where's this trend line? Well, yeah, there you are. There's a clear picture. Every time that it gets close to this trend line as well, you can buy the stock. So I'm still happy. It can go to the previous high just a few weeks back, was 404.23. If that gets taken out, it can go even higher. Let's have a look here. Let's go. Sorry, I just want to get there to the next level. Above 404, it will be 409.83 and then 422.32. I mean, but this stock just shows you that there's a beautiful momentum to the up. And even if I draw this resistance line in here, just shows you there's a beautiful channel developed here. And every time that the stock gets above this, close to this line, it gives us a little bit of a pullback. So for me, Leon, I'm still happy with it for the medium to the long term. I think you can hold on to the stock. I know the easy money must be off the table. I mean, if it rallied from, let's call it 60 Rand, all the way up to 400 Rand in a matter of 3 years, then the easy money should be off the table. But if you want to believe this channel, buy it every time close to this line or at the 40-week moving average. And if you hold the stock, I'm still quite happy. The stock still looks beautiful to me. Well, Norman asked about Naspers. And of course, we know now Naspers is going to give us that new company with the name of Newco. And if I look at Naspers here, remember Naspers, of course, is a beautiful rand edge stock. And if I look at this chart, look at this beautiful rally. I mean, since 2012, where it's now. But it's almost like you can say the S&P 500. Look at these erratic moves. It's a nervous stock because, you know, with all the valuations that comes out of fundamentalists, they say it offers value, it's trading at a discount. But look at these erratic moves. It almost gives me an idea that some of the informed investors, they believe that there is a discount, but they're not so sure of it. But it's still in this consolidation band. And now, well, let's do that. I just want to draw that line in there. And I think if we look at Naspers, first of all, it is above its 40-week moving average. The other day it touched it and rallied from there. That's positive. But I think to give us some extra new momentum, it must break above 3,710 Rand. Now that's about 300 Rand from here. So I think if we break above that, then we can see a new move. And always remember that Naspers almost tracks 10 cent. So if you look at the Naspers share price, this chart always is a copy of the 10 cent price. So we'll see, maybe it will differ after the new company, the Newco company gets listed on the Euronext. But at the moment, Naspers still looks okay for me, above the 40-week moving average, must go above 3,710 before we can get more excited about it. And then we're happy. Sally phoned me and said, listen, I would like to sell my Kumba shares. And Sally, I had actually a friend of mine that decided a few weeks ago that he wants to sell his Kumba shares. And when we chatted, I pointed out this little gap here. Now that gap was between 470.18 and 465.94. Now what happened? Look what we see here. It came back, it pulled back a little bit, but then eventually it went to close this gap. Let's just show you. There's the, I just want to show that. There you are. Just want to draw in the line. These lines are now just illustrating this gap. And of course, we know now that in technical analysis, we know that a gap will close either today or tomorrow or sometime in the future. But look what we see here. We see there's that gap that I mentioned. And what happened on that specific day, this candle just went up. This was a beautiful gravestone doji, but doesn't matter. The high of this candle was 471.70, and can you see that was higher than the low of that candle, 470.80. So it did close that gap. Well, my friend used this gap to close out his position on Kumba. But what happened? The share came back and it rallied all the way. But I'm a little bit nervous because now I'm starting to see a little bit of a double top here. So for me, the share must go, and Sally, there you are. I just want to show you here. The share must go above. There's the line. Just clear indication of maybe a possible double top. It must get above 483.89 to give us another leg to the top. Now remember, Kumba is a company that's making a lot of money out of iron ore at the moment, and I'm just eyeing this double top. Maybe if it breaks above that, yes, we can go to that 500 level. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it turns around, there's also a tiny little gap here that it can maybe close. But Remember, this double top will only be confirmed if it breaks below this support line eventually, and that will be below 394.86. I must maybe just mention something. Shares like even a Goldfields or Anglo-American or Kumba or one of those bigger counters, especially in commodities, remember they are cyclical. If you do catch them right early in the move, I mean, Kumba was also many years ago much cheaper. Let's just have a look here. If you catch them early in the cycle, you can make a lot of money. But if you miss the cycle and you don't take your profit, the big thing with these stocks, they can really get nailed if they come to the downside. Let's just have a look here. Well, there you are. There's Kumba on a weekly chart. Now look what happened. In 2016, this share was at around 24.33. Now it's around 480.23. Can you believe that? So what it means is if the trend goes to the downside, look what happens here. Then the trend is firmly to the downside. If the trend starts to go to the upside, it's firmly to the upside. I was worried here because it looks like Kumba wants to almost run into trouble and get lower, but it resumed the uptrend. So for guys that is in the stock for the medium to the long term, let's just use this line. While Kumba is above, now you see this is almost 130 Rand from the current level. While it's about 336 Rand 30, the momentum is to the upside. But let's see in the meantime if we can see a new high, maybe heading to 500 Rand. But Sally, you had the easy money already. I will not buy in. I think you may be a little bit late. Rather wait for a proper pullback before you get back into the stock, or if you want to buy some extra ones. Thank you so much, and we will talk again.